Okay, let's dive right into this. We're going to talk about a paradox that honestly affects so many of us. Why incredibly smart, capable people often get stuck. You know, you've got the talent, you've got the ideas, but for some reason, something just isn't clicking. Today, we're going to decode exactly why that happens. So let me just ask you a question. Have you ever lived that perfect life? You know, the one where you finally launched that business, or you wrote that book, or you got into the absolute best shape of your life? I'm going to bet the answer is yes. But there's a catch. It was all inside your head, wasn't it? For a few amazing moments, while you were just planning it all out or daydreaming, it felt 100% real. You got that huge rush, that feeling of, yes, I did it. And then, just like that, the feeling's gone. And that is the heart of the problem, right here. You've just watched a trailer for a perfect life that never actually becomes reality. You get this huge dopamine kick from the preview, but then the real world comes crashing back in, and you realize, wait a minute, nothing has actually changed. You haven't started. You haven't moved an inch. So why does this keep happening? Well, this first section is all about breaking down that pattern. We're going to look at why it feels so unbelievably good to win inside our heads, even when we know, deep down, it's not real. Okay, now look at this, because this breakdown is fascinating. On the left side, you've got planning. And man, planning feels productive. It gives you this sensation of being daring and bold, but with literally zero risk. And the best part? You get an instant reward, that dopamine hit we were talking about. But then you look at the right side, doing. That's what is productive, but it comes with the risk of actual effort, the very real potential for failure, and the reward? That's way off in the future. So our brain, which absolutely loves a shortcut, almost always picks the easy path on the left. And that leads us to this next idea, which I call the sweet poison of planning. Now, here's the crucial thing to understand. You are not lazy or broken for falling into this trap. This is a cognitive feature, not a bug in your system. And here's the addiction we're all dealing with: imaginary progress. I mean, think about it. Your mind has found this brilliant shortcut. Why would you work for months or even years to achieve something when you can get a pretty similar feeling of victory just by thinking about it for 5 minutes? It's a powerful illusion, and it is incredibly hard to resist. So why do we keep running back to this fantasy world? Well, it's basically a shield. In our heads, we can't fail. Victory is guaranteed. Reality, on the other hand, it's messy, it's complicated, and it is full of potential setbacks. So our mind just thinks, hey, why risk failing out there when I'm guaranteed to win in here? It's just a way of protecting our ego, protecting that dream version of ourselves from the harsh light of day. This brings us to the absolute core of this whole thing. This is the real source of all that frustration, of that feeling of being stuck. It's a concept I call the identity gap. So what is the identity gap? It's that distance, that painful space between the real version of you today and that dream version of yourself you imagine becoming. It's the space between who you are and who you know you could be. And the wider this gap gets, the more it hurts. And this slide just illustrates the two sides of that gap perfectly. You've got your dream version on one side. It's safe, it's perfect, and victory is always guaranteed. That version of you lives all cozy in the future. But then there's the real version of you. You have to live in the present, where things are risky, they're messy, and failure is a very, very real possibility. And it's the tension between these two that keeps us totally paralyzed. And all of this in action, it creates this vicious loop, the shame cycle. It starts with that super simple, super common phrase, I'll start tomorrow. But every single time you say that, the identity gap gets just a little bit wider. And that widening gap, it creates shame, it creates frustration, because deep down you know you're just stalling. And what do we do when we feel bad? We retreat right back to the comfort of fantasy planning, and the whole cycle starts all over again. Okay, so that was the diagnosis. It's a pretty tough cycle, I know. But now we're going to pivot. We're going to talk about the solution. How do you actually break free from this loop and start to rewire your brain's entire reward system? So here it is, the million-dollar question. How do you get from one side to the other? How do you actually cross that identity gap instead of just standing there staring at it? Here's the answer, and it's so simple, it's almost deceptive. The way out isn't a better plan, it's not a more detailed vision board, and it's definitely not more thinking. The only way out is to move, to take action, no matter how small. The whole strategy is about retraining that reward loop inside your brain. Right now, your brain gets a reward for just simulating success, for just thinking about it. We need to stop that. We have to weaken that connection and strengthen a new one, where action leads to a real reward. And that means you have to start celebrating the small, even the boring wins. You have to make the feeling of actual progress feel better than the fantasy of it. And we just have to be totally honest with ourselves here. Real progress, real comebacks, they don't look like they do in the movies. There is no training montage with some epic soundtrack playing. Most of the time, it's quiet, it's unglamorous, and it's built on the simple consistency of just you showing up and doing the work. Which brings us to our final and, I think, most important takeaway. This is the immediate first step you can take right now to break this cycle for good. Seriously, forget about creating another perfect master plan. That's the old pattern. That's what got you stuck. What you need right now is to interrupt that pattern. You need a pattern break. Something that just signals to your brain that, hey, things are different now. So here's your new mission. Your goal is no longer to achieve some grand vision overnight. Your only job is to collect proof. Proof that you are a person who takes action. And this proof can be ridiculously small. Open your laptop. Write one terrible, messy paragraph. Do 5 push-ups. The point is not the outcome. The point is the action itself. It's proof that you showed up. So let's end with this. That dream version of you, it actually fades a little bit every single day that you spend just thinking about it. The only way to save that version, to make it real, is to bring it to life, piece by piece, through action. So the next time your mind starts playing that perfect little trailer, just take one small, dumb step forward. Because dreaming only fades your future. Action is what creates it.